Hey, listen, on your projectors, um, some people, the brighter the better. I agree. Okay, but my room is designed for this. If you have a white room and you have a great big window next to your screen, and you have, you know, a normal sun facing. In other words, it's not in the shade. Doesn't have to be direct sunlight, but not in the shade. Okay. Um, I would say 99% of the ads and shit that you've been shown are fake. They're bullshit. They're adjusted. Okay. Um, Unfortunately, that's kind of how the business is. Some of them are worse than others. And that was another reason that I went with Awolvision because it's when you look at the actual numbers, you can see who needs to lie. You can see who needs to cheat a little bit to make themselves sound like they're competitive for the price. Okay? So, uh, my room is designed so I could have a cheaper unit in here, but I wouldn't have had the colors. It had to be a tri-laser. It had to have 3D. That was my main concern with very, very low or no lag. Mainly color saturation and reproduction because I tried to explain to my grandson why they can't. That blue color that they picked for that LED were so that they could make all the other colors, the red, green, and blue. Okay, they're stuck with those references. That is the blue you're going to get mixed with whatever. It's not going to be a darker blue that gets mixed to make a truer reproduction. And lasers are pure in their wavelength. So you're starting out with something that's far superior to even micro LEDs. Yeah, there's advantages to TVs over projectors, okay? But not all of them are as bright or brighter or even work as good in sunlight. So all of them suck in sunlight. I'm going to be honest with you, tell you the fucking truth here, okay? Because that's what I do here. They all suck. None of them are like you see, where it's like, oh, that looks just like a TV in the middle of a very, very bright room. Okay, well, that's bullshit because that's not what's going to happen. Don't expect that. Okay? If the what was nice about the show that I saw, the projectors were in a how can I put it? Kind of like a workshop kind of lighting. They had some fluorescent and some real lights running, or incandescents. It wasn't bright. It was very controlled. Okay, and it was all ceiling pointed down. And yeah, the projector still. I was thinking, wow, that's just barely watchable. That's not something I'm going to buy. That is barely watchable. I'm not going to buy that. And I'll be absolutely honest with you. When I saw the AWOL, I said, nope, still, nope, not good enough. Well, reality came around. I ended up checking out all the others, and I just kept going back to the AWOL going, well, it is brighter. The colors are better. And back to the other ones and back and compare. And I'm like, oh, shit. So it's not like I'm saying I took the AWOL because that's all there was. Okay, one as soon as they had the 3D and the low lag and everything that I needed, there was no choice because it did look better. As far as I'm concerned, it was a better product. No, it's not perfect. It has some issues, but I mean, as far as the product you get on screen, sorry, it is the best. Period. It is. That the color is so much better than what you get from an LED. Now, we were comparing this 120-inch picture over here to the 65-inch Samsung, and we were looking at the ground, and it was sharper. the lines were crisper on this TV. Only because it's 65 inch and this one's 120, okay? But if you're gonna do a comparison one-on-one right there, okay, well, yeah, that is a little bit sharper, but the color didn't look as good. Not even close. Their orange kind of looked yellowish. This orange looked orange. And my lady's not a gamer, and she was like, oh, yeah, big difference. See? No TVs. I'm seeing the desperation right now. I'm seeing the desperation in the fucking TV industry. You know what is stopping? This is what I truly think is stopping projectors from just wiping TVs off the fucking market. And that is the screens. People don't want to have to put a screen in a room. They don't want to have to hang one on the wall or hang one from the ceiling. They're thinking of it as too technical and too hard. That's not the reality. They have stretch frames that will hold your screen up. It's just a stretch frame. And you can fold it up and get rid of it if you ever need to. I don't see it happening. You have floor rising screens, okay, but then that adds a significant cost. And that's what's the problem is right now. That's why it hasn't taken off, because you do have the cost of the projector and the cost of the screen. And yes, the screen makes a big difference. You definitely want an ALR screen. I would recommend a floor rising or a ceiling. This one is floor rising or a drop down from the ceiling. Either way, it's self-tensioning. It has two V-bars in the back, and it goes up and it gets tight and it drops down 1 inch and it self-tensions. I have one area over here that's a little bit weird. You can expect some little minor defects in all these screens, but that's what's holding it back. I think that once that's done, once they find the super easy, here you go, unroll it, hang it on your wall, it will hang perfectly straight. All you got to do is put 3 screws in the ceiling. There's your 150, 120, 100 inch. There's nothing special. It's all self-tensioning. You just 3 screws into your 2x4s in the ceiling, or into the ceiling studs. Done deal. That's when it'll happen, when you can pay $75 for a 150-inch screen that just takes 3 screws to install. That's when it's going to happen, okay? TVs just, I pretty much convinced myself, having all my friends do their own comparison, that 8K, 4K, they don't give a shit. After 4K, it's more than sufficient. More than sufficient. What, 8K, you want to separate every eyelash or something? I mean, it's even 4K, true 4K on YouTube, when I'm watching it, is almost brittle. It's so crisp when you're seeing like Tokyo at night, you know what I mean? And it's very crisp and sharp. That's enough. It's color reproduction. That's why I like the tri-laser. It's color reproduction. That's what everybody that comes and sees my setup, that's what they walk away saying, is that, you know, that tiny little bit of detail that you miss by having the screen that size, they don't miss it at all. It looked plenty sharp to them, and it was the color that got them. So I keep telling everybody when I do these videos, okay? Don't buy a TV. Don't buy a TV. They all lie. The industry is pretty full of bullshit. It really is. Okay? You are not going to see, it is not going to look like a TV in the middle of your big, bright, white room with white curtains. And they always seem to overblow. Look how bright the room is. And then you look at the projector, an ultra short throw, and supposedly, you know, 2800. No, it's not going to look like that. It's not. So don't expect it to. My room is uniform blue. It's meant to absorb light really well, and it does a fantastic job. I would suggest even painting half of your room dark to help. Nobody says it all has to be one solid color, right? There's a few times now I thought about painting from here back white, to lighten the room with lights that I could turn off and then have my dark side. I'm just worried about trying to cover up this blue paint with white. It's going to take like 25 coats of paint. Okay. Yeah, somebody asked me, does it really look that bright? No. I'm telling you right now that if I open my door and I let the sun shine directly on my screen, yeah, it gets washed out. And that's what's going to happen with you. That's just the truth. Don't, if you're going to expect, it's better to expect what's actually going to look like and happen so you can set your room up properly, okay? But it's not a TV. It's not, okay? But tell you, man, for the price they want now for TVs that are like over 80 inches, those TVs do not like to be moved. They don't like to be bumped, jarred, nothing. Once you hang them on your wall, like on a rack, mine moved. Mine moved, so we can move the sim rigs around, okay? I suggest a solid mount without any movement, because once they settle in, they don't like to be moved. I've heard a lot of stories now that earthquakes, when they're originally mounted to the wall and they shake the unit that had been sitting there for a year or two, that it gets some problems. Big TVs just do not like to be moved, period. Whereas mine, I could roll down my screen, unplug my projector, take it outside, throw my screen up with just a power supply, and have movie night for the kids. I think that's against the law, isn't it? Huh? I wouldn't charge him anyway. Okay. Yeah, I just want you to know, it's not going to, no. They all look like shit in bright daylight. That's it. Then none of them, even this tri-laser, they just don't put out enough. Now, if I took mine and instead of showing 150 or 120 inch, if I moved this down to an 80 inch, it would be really, really bright, and that would make a difference. But at their max sizes, no, all of them are going to be washed out. They're all liars.